Hazel Moore, Spiritual Mastery. I'm back today with some answers to some questions that were put to me from yesterday's video. And the first question is from Laurie, and she says, many people are torn between their desire to be connected spiritually and their desire to live comfortably physically, which is why so many struggle with the idea of owning a business. What can people do to address this conflict? Well, Laurie, if there's any conflict in the mind and the life of a human being, a person, then there is separation consciousness going on somewhere. And from what you have posed in your question, their desire to live comfortably is in conflict with their desire to be connected spiritually, then this to me smacks of what I call church energy. That you cannot be spiritual and have a wonderful flowing business, that gives us a life of luxury and travel and abundance and joy and all those things that we all want. When we connect consciously with the spirit and we allow it to flow unencumbered through our mind and heart and body, we are confident beings. We are highly creative beings with lots of ideas coming forth. Ideas that we know exactly how to put into practice. And if we don't know exactly how to put them into practice, then the spirit flowing through us will bring people into our lives to help us in a very physical, tangible way. So if someone wants to own their own business and they think they're not going to earn enough money to keep body and soul together, then that will manifest out for them. So the first thing that is mandatory is to find a coach, a mentor who can show you, guide you to connect with your spirit and bring forth those ideas and bring forth the confidence to go about your business. They are not separate. Your spiritual life and your physical life is not separate. God wants for you what you want for yourself. So take heed. If you want to run your own business and be successful for the rest of your earthly life, it is not a luxury, it's mandatory to reconnect in a conscious way with your spirit, because that's where your life begins and ends. I hope that's answered your question, Laurie. The next question comes from Kate, and she says, my question is about engagement with spirituality, and sometimes the truth can be quite stark. How can you give people the safe space in which to process this so they can achieve a sense of peace in themselves? Well, Kate, you're quite right there. The truth, more often than not, is stark. In some cases, it's blatantly cruel, what we do to ourselves. But to ensure that someone has a safe space is to, first of all, help them ground into their body through a very gentle process of a guided meditation, just for a couple of minutes. For you yourself as the therapist or the facilitator to raise yourself up to that high frequency of joy and bliss where the spiritual truths are. And once you've raised yourself up to that higher frequency, you are then able to hold that space and transmit that frequency to your client. And that will help them to feel safe. You then help them to ground in the body, which most people don't really understand what it is to truly ground. You cannot ground just through imagining roots coming out of the soles of your feet. This is a process of getting up to the higher frequency of joy, breathing it down into the body, even though you are aware of your fears about facing your truth about yourself, and that will bring that peace, that feeling of safety, because the feeling of safety comes from being connected to Mother Earth in the body totally. Our body is connected to the earth. It is made of the stuff of the earth. And if our soul, our beliefs, if you like, is not in our body fully, then we will not feel safe and we will not be able to be at peace. So one of the first things is to raise your own frequency, hold that space for your client or the person that you're helping to face themselves, is to help them get into the body. And love gives them the feeling of safety and peace, the love that flows from you, the facilitator, of helping that person move to another level within themselves. So, the safe space is within their bodies, being fully grounded, of committing to wanting to be fully in the body. That brings us that feeling of safety, connecting with Mother Nature through the body. The body is Mother Nature, Earth. So, there we are. We connect the person to the earth. We connect them to their spirit. The earth energy consciousness flows up into the body. The spiritual energy flows down through the crown, unites in the heart, and this is the Holy Trinity. Mother Earth, the Divine Father, flowing into us physically. Safe, peace, holding the space in love. I hope that's helped, Kate. And the final question today is from Sherry Wilson. Thank you, Sherry, for your question. And her question is, so now then, as we collaborate and investigate ourselves from within, individually and collectively, we are still within the framework of the duality to some extent. Does this mean we are not within the peace within period? Or is there a space between the two ideas that's real? Yes, Sherry, there is a space between the two ideas that is real. So when we start our inner journey from separation back to oneness, we're still operating in a duality belief system. Our minds are immersed in what is known as the fourth dimension, the astral world, same thing. But this is the place where our thoughts and our emotions play out, usually in our dream state, and we call it lucid dreaming, and oftentimes it's nightmares. But that's that other dimension of ourselves where our thoughts and our emotions play out, which is in duality. So we wade through our limiting beliefs at this level of ourselves, and we reframe those limiting beliefs and we ask the illusion to complete itself, shutting down that timeline. For every thought we have could be considered a timeline, whether probable, parallel, or this trajectory that we're on. It means we are in the space of stepping out of the victim and bully paradigm, duality. And we're entering into surrender, which is the first steps into the fifth dimension, heaven. And it can also be the final stage of the upper astral world, which is the fourth dimension, where the thoughts and emotions act themselves out in the dream state, usually. Sometimes we act it out as well in physicality. The fourth dimension is the dream state, what we call the dream state. And from surrender, we enter into union. And this is the world where we experience the peace that passeth all understanding. We've made that transition from the mind to the heart in the space in between, the fourth dimension, duality still, and we've literally stepped into heaven, which is oneness, union, unity consciousness. And the task is now to maintain that level of consciousness even whilst we still walk on the earth in a physical body. So the space within and between the two ideas is very, very real. It's a dimension, as I've said, and it's where our thoughts and our emotions act out. And we get to the stage where we literally say enough, and we start to close down that mind reality called human existence on earth, and we take that journey and cross that quantum leap. We make a quantum leap into oneness. So I hope that's answered your question. Much love to you all.